If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, we have the Knighmare, William Knight, on the show for the first time. He returns to action next Friday, November 22nd at CFFC 80 in Hampton, Virginia. He takes on Tafon Nchukwi. How are you, William? Good to have you here.
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and this has been quite the year for you, hasn't it? I mean, from fighting for CES in January to the Contender Series, that absolute crazy fight in August, getting the developmental deal with the UFC, back to CES, getting a knockout win recently, and then less than a month later, back at it again. Have you had a second to breathe and let this all sink in?
I mean, if you think about it, this is exactly what I want. I like to stay active and keep going, moving forward. Not many people are conditioned and built like I am. A lot of people look at me, they think I'm small. They say, oh, he's muscular, he don't got conditioning, this, that. They judge me too quickly till they get in that cage with me. I don't judge my opponents. I really don't care about them. I don't care if it's John Jones himself. So it's like you step here because you know yourself, but at the end of the day, I don't go into these fights to fight. I go in here to kill people. There's a difference. I'm the person who's ready to take it to that next level. Just like Muhammad Ali was ready to die for the sport, something Mike Tyson wouldn't do. I'm ready to kill people, take their life in the cage if I have to. But the ref is there, you know, and sometimes you just gotta have that little bit of humanity, you know. So I want this. If I could, I would fight every weekend for 52 weeks. That's a fact.
I believe you when you say that. And what's crazy about this story is that you turned pro like 18 months ago. Yeah, you had a lot of amateur fights and a lot of experience, but I mean, if I talked to you in May of 2018 after your pro debut and said, William, 4 fights from right now, you're going to have a developmental deal with the UFC, you're knocking on the door of making the main roster here, would you believe me, or is this what you sort of expected from yourself the whole time?
I mean, when I first started, after my first couple wins and just the stuff I post online, my conditioning routines, my athletic things that I do on my own, like shit that I do, a lot of people were like, yo, you're different, yo. Like, I won't be surprised if I see you on UFC or Bellator or one championship. And I sit here like, I don't know about all that. I just do this shit for fun. And that's for my amateur career. Like, my amateur career was fun, but can you really say it was experience? If you add up the ring time, I don't believe it even matches. I don't even think the ring time adds up to 30 minutes in all my amateur fights. So it's like you sit here and you're like, I went the distance twice, one as a heavyweight, one as a light heavyweight, and after that, I've just been destroying people. Like, yo, I won't let it go to the judges anymore. So I probably wouldn't have believed you because at the end of the day, I really joined all this to do nada, like grappling, to stay competing. I just don't know how this happened or where it came from. My coach was like, you should fight. And I was like, well, I want to do grappling. He's like, all right, well, you can fight. And that's what we're going to do, fight. You're going to train. And I started Muay Thai. So that's where it's all led to this moment.
Obviously, there's the competitive side of training and martial arts and so forth and so on. Was there a time for you when, like, you just believed that this was going to be what you were going to do? Like, you were going to become a professional fighter? You were going to make a run at this thing? Do you remember that time where that switch sort of flipped for you?
I mean, I'm not trying to be boring or nothing, but it's like I really didn't care if I was pro or amateur, because at the end of the day, we got some amateurs out there that look better than professionals. And then we got some professionals that look like basic amateurs. So it's like the competitive end of this, there's no boundaries. A lot of hybrids are coming up. This isn't back in the day like they had the one-trick pony, the boxer versus the wrestler, or the jiu-jitsu guy versus the judo guy and all that other stuff. Now we're dealing with guys with like 5, 6, 7 skill sets under their belts. And they've been doing this. They've been in the combat sports for a year. So me, amateur or pro, it didn't matter for me. I just wanted the aspect of competing. It started with wrestling tournaments, and then it was like once or twice a year they would come to Connecticut. One was a Mawa, and the other one was Nutmeg. And then it's like twice a year. There's 365 days in a year, 52 weeks. There's 12 months. And I'm sitting here like I only get to compete twice a year? That's boring. So I had to find something that kept me moving. Like, yo, I need to do more like this. I even tried looking in the strongman and bodybuilding, but I was like, that's not me, because at the end of the day, I don't like being judged. I hate it. I hate having the judge have things in my favor. So I'm like, there's got to be something else, because wrestling season, I was pinning people. When I found out about Naga with Kip, I was submitting people. Now I'm sitting here like, dang, Muay Thai, there's a judge if you don't finish a guy. MMA, though, I control that aspect. I'm not sitting here landing leg kicks, and when I'm destroying you with the hands, but the leg kicks score more points. So long story short, I didn't care. I did not care if I was amateur or pro. Even right now, if I was still an amateur, we probably wouldn't even be having this phone call. But all in all, I just like to compete. I like to compete. I want to fucking compete.
That Contender Series fight was just bananas. It was just bananas. I mean, you got the finish in the third round, and we saw fighters with similar experience get contracts over this past season. You got a developmental deal, which honestly, I wish more of those were given out. I think there's a lot of merit to that. There's a lot to be said about evolution and improvement. But when opportunity comes, you take it. I understand why these guys jumped on the contract. I'm sure you would have as well. But were you cool with how that all went down, or were you a little bit disappointed that you didn't get the full deal?
Yo, ask my coach. I believe after my CES fight, when I was being told, listen, we have to fight top-end people, and I'm like, yo, what have we been doing? Like, if you check my amateur career, most of the people I fought were undefeated fighters, dudes who are ranked number one in their area, high-level dudes that are being talked about. Like that's what I've been doing, so let's keep going. Like, I don't want no easy fights, man. All my fights have to be challenging so I can push myself. If they're easy, I'll never display what I have in the books. Y'all seen I have endurance, I have speed, I have power, I'm chill, I'm composed. I can take a hit. I fought heavyweights. I was always a smaller guy. I was fighting heavyweight. I can take hits. I can withstand a lot of abuse. Remember, I come from being abused as a child, so a grown man hitting me, unless you submit me or knock me out cold, I'm just going to keep coming for you like a fucking tank. You're not going to stop me. And my gas is always on full. So the fucking gas pump is connected. It just keeps pushing, gallon after gallon. I'm just going to keep fucking coming at you. So it's like, that Contender Series developmental contract was the best fucking thing that I got. I can fight locally. I'm not sitting on the back shelf like some of these guys who got contracts, and I haven't even seen fight yet. From season 1 and 2, I still haven't seen fight. Then you got guys in season 3 that are sitting here, and I'm like, dang, they won, and how many UFC events went by? And you probably seen a couple guys. You got Jorgen. He was one of them. The Ian, he was another one. I seen fight. The dude, the coconut, whatever his name is, I seen him fight. I seen two guys fight, but it's like, damn, once or twice a year when I could fight like this. I just fought a couple weeks ago, and I'm fighting again next week. So the developmental deal, if you think about it, for a person in my aspect with 3 years total of the combat world aspect, that's a fucking beautiful deal.
So this is perfect for you. This worked out perfectly.
Perfect. And ask my coaches, ask everyone. I was like, yo, no matter what I do in that cage, if I knock this dude out in 2 seconds, they're going to want to see more. I'm not going to get a development deal or a contract. And I'm telling you this, like, people don't believe me. Ask my coaches, ask them. They don't need to lie for me. Then I'm sitting here like, listen, if I go out there and let it go the long run, they're going to give this dude the contract, especially if it's close. Our output were damn near, it was identical, except for me. I start to pick up in the second, third round. I need 5 rounds. First round, I'm chilling. Second round, I'm like, okay, I know what we're doing. Third round, I'm after you. Fourth round, I'm out to kill you. Fifth round, I got to finish you off before the judges get involved. This 3-round shit sucks. That's why I was enjoying the championship life. As a champ, it's 5 rounds. You have 5 3-minute rounds, or as a pro, it's 5 5-minute rounds. I can fucking do this. I trained for those rounds from day one. I never sat here like, okay, we'll do 3 rounds. We'll do 3 rounds. From day one, I asked, how many rounds do they go? What's the most rounds you can go? They're like, well, if you have a belt, it's 5. I was like, all right, we'll do 10. From day one, I've been doing 10 rounds of anything I fucking do. So it's like, yo, I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. So that developmental deal was beautiful. And I told my coach I was going to get that shit. I told him, I told Tyson, I told my brother, I told my cousins, I told my loved ones, my family, I told them, I'm like, yo, the only contract I'm going to get is a development deal if I do get one, because the UFC is not going to pick me up with this lack of experience or years. On paper, I lack what they're looking for. But me, I've been doing this shit for a long time, from wrestling in high school and being on the competitive edge and defending myself in the streets. The striking aspect, the whole nine, is different, yeah. But I knew I was going to get that, and you can ask anyone. And the only way I seen it happening was the weeks I watched prior to the Contender Series. Most people who got the contracts were people who had the comeback fights. Those were people who got the contracts. People who got put in dangerous situations and fucking surpassed it and rose above and got their hand raised. So going into that fight, I knew, I'm like, look, I'm going to have to take sacrifice, what most people won't. I have to put myself in dangerous positions and grind this dude out. And I did that. And then when the end came up, I finished the fight.
I feel like you're the perfect never judge a book by its cover type story heading into the Contender Series, because, I mean, dude, I'm not telling you any secrets here. You're this big, huge jack guy that like should be on posters all over the place. Like, you're a monster. And like all the commentators, anyone watching the fight is like, well, this guy's huge, but you know what happens with these huge jack guys? They gas out. You didn't do that. You got better as the fight went on. I'm sure you were tired, but I mean, my God, you just kept getting better. You got more powerful in the third round. I mean, you turned a lot of heads. You answered a lot of questions in that fight, did you not?
Yo, you have no idea. That third round, I was just getting started. I was like, yo, let's go. And then the fight ended. I'm like, oh, my gosh. Like, if you see me go back to my corner after every round, this dude's panting. No, I'm not going to shame him, because I'm the first person to take him out the first round. So he's never gone the distance with no one with his 100% finish rate. And I challenged him. I've gone the distance before. In fact, I gone the distance. The last time I went the distance was with Jorgen for reality fighting, when I fought him for the belt. That's the only time I went to distance since I was a light heavyweight. So I sit here and I look at myself like, yo, I've gone the distance before. It's not nothing new. But this dude hasn't. So let's grind him out and see what he has to offer. I know he likes to clinch. He's Greco style, so I know he's going to take me down. But why fight a takedown when he's going to bring me to my element? That's something I love. Even with strikers, we can strike. But when I land is when they switch up. They're like, yo, I can outstrike him. I'm a better striker. I'm faster. I'm stronger. I'm more efficient. I have the ability to slow shit down, the adrenaline. So when people say my conditioning, I'm big, I don't feel I'm that big, though. I'm 205 pounds. I'm probably like 8-9% body fat when I'm down in that weight class. I walk around like 213, 215. I don't feel I'm that big. Maybe it's my height, so I'm 5'10", but I don't believe I'm that big, man. I really don't believe I'm that big. Maybe my upper body or something, but I truly believe I'm just like borderline like athletic look, because I might be small or big to you guys, but I feel like I'm small. My lungs don't give out. I'm just efficient. It could be the years of not doing combat sports, because DC started late, and look what he became, the double champ. So, yeah, my conditioning is never to be questioned. They can say what they want. They can say, oh, he looks tired, whatever. Don't judge me. I know I'm not tired. I'm chilling. So...
Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm 5'11" and 215 pounds of muscle and 9% body fat, then if someone calls me small or calls me big, I'm gonna walk around without a shirt on all the time. But that's not me. That's not me right now. But let's talk about next Friday. You get Tafon Nchukwi, 2-0 as a pro. He's finished every fight he's had from the amateur level to the pro level. Is he, I mean, I'm sure at this point you would have fought anybody, but is he a guy that was on your radar at all when you got the call?
I don't know too much about him. I know his name came up one time for Lions fight, but he fought Doug Holland, somebody that I fought before. So I'm not too surprised. I don't know what his element is. I don't know what his background, nothing. I'm not worried. Like, I'm always brought in as the underdog, and I always climb. Like, me coming in as the underdog, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So it's like, okay, this dude's expected to win. He's expected to win. I'm going to his hometown. He's ranked number 1 from what they tell me. I don't know his background. I see he has striking. He's finished everybody or whatever, but guess what? Freaking the dude in Contender Series finished everybody. So I'm not worried about nobody. Like, I'm seriously not worried about no one but myself. So at the end of the day, I don't watch no tape on nobody. I don't really care too much about him. But me, I care about me. So my last performance, I was on bottom. I really didn't like where I was, but the guy also had 50 pounds on me. So it was little things I needed to work on, which I've been working on since. So if we're keeping it standing, then cool, we're going to be striking it out. If he gets tired or whatever, try to take me down, whatever, then we'll be on the ground. But wherever the fight takes me is wherever the fight takes me. I'm not too concerned about anybody, really.
Have you researched the area of the rolling hills and sprawling landscapes of Hampton, Virginia? Is there anything to do over there?
Nah, man, like people got to realize that I'm from Connecticut. I never really left Connecticut until combat sports. My first time on the plane, combat sports. My first time in Vegas, combat sports. Anywhere I've gone so far is due to fighting. I really haven't gone nowhere. I'm 31 years old. I don't travel, don't party. I don't do nothing. I just sit and fucking grind.
Are you excited to travel the world a little bit more as this progresses and you end up getting that UFC deal? Are you excited to see where this sport takes you, whether it be Brazil or, Moscow, Russia, or places like that? Or are you cool just fighting anywhere at this point?
Hell yeah, I'm excited. Like, I get to travel the world and fight top level guys. Like, I love that. I love that fucking thought. I get to fight high level dudes in their hometown, wherever the case may be. I don't care. I just want to be able to use my shit that I've learned on somebody that's going to last more than the first round. That's what I'm excited about. So, like right now, I'm just ready. I wish it was this Friday. You guys have no idea.
I can tell by listening to you right now. You're getting very intense on us, and I like this. I like this, William. So let's just talk about how this all gets done, man. November 22nd in Virginia, CFFC 80, UFC Fight Pass. How does this thing go down?
Like every other one of my matches, take it as it goes, see where it goes. Standing, we could fight standing, go to the ground. Fuck, we can double dutch. We can play patty cake. I don't fucking care. At the end of the day, my output's gonna stay the same from when we touch gloves to when the fucking ref raises somebody's hand. So I see it going like any other fight, no longer than the first or second round. Somebody's getting finished.
This is such a weird question to ask, but I feel like this is going to be a kind of a complex answer. Are you waiting for the day where the UFC says, like, all right, you're with us now? Are you like, man, are you thinking about that and be like, man, like now this output, this, all this action, all this, the getting in there and fighting as often as you're fighting right now. Do you feel like that's going to come to an end once you get that UFC deal?
I mean, they already told me that if they want, they could pull me on any card. They can kill the contract and put me in any card. It happened to Greg Hardy. Supposed to go do a couple fights. He did like one or two or some shit and came right back to Contender Series, and he's been doing killing people in that cage. And then his last fight, he lost a decision to a guy who fought what? And the champion? Did he fight the champ or he had a contender shot? One of the two, but he sat there and went 3 rounds with somebody that should have cleaned him up. Speaks wonders about the invisible hype. I am the invisible hype. I'm the person they sleep on. I'm the person they judge. I'm the person they talk shit on. What they don't realize is that shit fuels me up. That shit fuels me up. I've been dealing with that shit forever, since school, being bullied, being bothered, being picked on. That shit fucking excites me. It fuels me up. I get fucking jittery. I'm just happy. Like, you're just allowing me to have less remorse for the person I'm going to fight. That's all that does. Like, yo, destroy this person. I don't care what the fuck he stands for or what he's doing. You go in there and shut everybody the fuck up. But when the UFC calls me, it's the same fucking journey. Let's go. Put whoever you got to put in front of me, let's keep it going as long as they keep me active.
True or false? You will fight in the UFC in 2020.
Possibility, true, man. I feel like that's going to happen. Like, I told Crew already, I'm like, yo, they're going to grab me after the 3rd or 4th fight.
You feel like this is the one?
I'm like, yo, This one or January, whichever one, because I'm on that January card for CES. I don't care what nobody says. They better clone my ass if they don't find somebody.
So you're on that card just looking for an opponent right now?
Yes.
Anybody in particular that lines up, or it doesn't even matter? Let's just go. Line them up. Let's take them out.
Yeah, so how that works is, this is why I like being on a developmental the deal. The UFC doesn't send me bums. So you don't get to pick. They pick who they send. They send who they feel is a fight for me. So when you sit here and go, oh, he chose those fights? Nah, I don't choose fights. If I ever pick a fight, it's going to be the more difficult fight, the more difficult task. I will deny a guy who's 1-2 to fight somebody who's 11-1. I will do it 10 times out of 10.
Is there anybody on the roster right now that you're just like, man, like we're going to have a bang? I'm sure you'll fight anybody at this point. I'm sure if they offered you John Jones tomorrow, you would take it. But is there anybody on the roster man, if we scrapped right now, like this would just be like a really fun fight?
On the UFC roster or just in general?
The UFC roster.
On the UFC roster, I forget his name. Is it Teffy or whatever his name is? That light heavyweight, he got some bomb hands. It's not Anthony Smith. It's the other dude, like Teffy or something. He has a wrestling background, and he ground and pounds and kills people.
Not Alito Latifi.
Yes, him. I want to fight him.
He's at heavyweight now.
Yes. Really?
Yeah, he's jumping up to heavyweight.
That's somebody I want to fight at light heavyweight.
But he's probably...
we go heavyweight. Shit.
I was going to say, he's probably not that big of a heavyweight, so it'd probably line up good. A little money weight fight at like 215.
Yeah, fuck it. 215, 220, 225. I don't care.
I could do this for another hour, William. I'm very excited that you joined the show today as you prepare to face Tafon Nchukwi next Friday, CFFC 80. You can watch all the action on UFC Fight Pass. Appreciate it, man. This has been one hell of a time. Before we wrap up, let the folks know where they can find and follow you on the web, social media, any shout-outs, anything else you want to get off your chest, man. The floor is yours. You
can follow me on Twitter, Knighmare205 with a K. You can follow me on Facebook, William Knight. Also, my fight page is William Knighmare with a K Knight. You can find me on Snapchat, SSJ Knighmare. Instagram, SSJ Knighmare. And I want to shout out Thornton's Mixed Martial Arts and Fitness in East Hartford, Iron Will Fitness in Manchester, and Bushido in Manchester for my grappling coach. Other than that, let's get this shit going.
Thank you for the time, William. All the best to you next weekend, man.
Definitely. Thanks, man.